Welcome back everyone to a brand new edition of the best solo carries, this time for patch 13.7. In today's video, we'll be covering 3 of the strongest champions for every single role. But before we get into it, be sure to check out Skillcapped if you want to truly get better at League of Legends. We're the only service that offers a money-back guarantee if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service. We do this because our service really does work, and if it doesn't work for you, you shouldn't pay. Learn more at the end of this video or click the link in the description below. The standalone #1 solo queue top laner for 13.7 is going to be Malphite. Olaf had been rivaling Malphite for the crown in previous patches, but now that Olaf is nerfed, there's really nobody better than Mal. Mal has a very low skill floor, meaning you can pick him up right away and start seeing near immediate success. To help you fast track that success, our challenger top laner Strumpist has a brand new full game Malphite commentary on our website for you guys. A simple win condition you can have in the back of your mind for each game is to ensure the enemy ADC is completely useless. What we mean by this is that Malphite is one of the best champions at shutting down a fed ADC due to his long range engage from R, attack speed slow on E, and sheer amount of tankiness. Just diving in and pressing E on the fed carry will drastically limit their DPS power in a fight. Couple this with a Frozen Heart purchase that also reduces attack speed, and Mal does a phenomenal job at countering this bot lane centric meta. Without question, the best ban for Malphite is going to be Sylas. Mal players are only winning 45% of the time in the matchup, and it's by far his worst lane. Standard build for Malphite is an Iceborne Rush into Sunfire Aegis second and a situational tank item third. Take Grasp as the keystone rune when you are in melee matchups and are planning to go with a W max. On the flip side, run Comet in ranged matchups or lanes where you won't be able to auto attack as much and go for a Q max. With Olaf dropping out of the top 3, taking his spot is going to be Riven. Riven may not have as low of a skill floor as Malphite, but her carry power once you put the time into her is massive. Malphite and Jace are 2 of the only matchups Riven has a negative win rate against in solo queue, so either is a good ban option. Riven is one of the best top laners in the game at punishing mistakes due to her incredible mobility. Especially in the lower ranks, you can take advantage of this a ton by staying laser focused on when the enemy wastes a key ability. Say for example you're playing against Aatrox and he wastes Q to last hit minions. This now becomes your window to punish, and with Riven, Q, and E, you can easily jump in for a quick winning trade that the Aatrox would have no chance in winning. Optimal core build for Riven is a Ravenous Hydra Rush into Eclipse second and Black Cleaver third. Conqueror is the keystone rune with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand. Grab Nimbus Cloak and Transcendence for secondaries. Now that Olaf has been nerfed, if you're looking for another super strong lane dominant top lane pick, look no further than Pantheon. Recent buffs has given Pantheon a lot of life as a top laner, as the Q cooldown buff amplifies harass power even further. Pantheon performs exceptionally well into meta bruisers like Darius, Jax, Riven, and Aatrox, winning over 53% of the time in all 4 matchups. Malphite is the no-brainer ban for Pantheon, as you're in such a race against time, since the longer games drag out, the more difficult it becomes to match Malphite's presence. Pantheon does extremely well in short trade scenarios, where he can jump in with W, use Q for some damage, and then disengage with E to take no damage in return. You can use this trading pattern to easily chunk the enemy out, and then once you have them in lethal, flash W into Q and Ignite has no counterplay other than the enemy playing super far back in lane. The core build for Pantheon is an Eclipse Rush into Black Cleaver second and Spear of Shojin third. Conqueror is the keystone rune with Presence of Mind, Tenacity, and Last Stand. Grab Conditioning and Overgrowth for secondaries. Bit of a shock to see that Jarvan avoids the nerf bat in 13.7, so he will reign supreme as the best jungle carry. Especially with Lee and Wukong nerfed this patch, Jarvan will now become even more picker ban than before. Early gank power is some of the best for any jungler, so mapping out your early pathing in the loading screen is vital. Playing to whichever side of the map provides you with the best gank setup is generally the rule of thumb, but if both top and bot have good setup, prioritizing bot lane is definitely the way to go. We are seeing a ton more supports being played with really good gank setup like Thresh, Rakan, and Nautilus, so pathing to those lanes is always good value. Champs that can nullify your engage power can really limit what Jarvan can achieve, so banning a meta support with good peel potential like Lulu or Rakan is a good idea. Build for Jarvan consists of a Gore Drinker or Eclipse Rush into Black Cleaver second and Death's Dance or Maw third. As for runes, roll with Conqueror for the keystone with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Free Boots and Cosmic Insight are the optimal secondaries. With the likes of Wukong nerfed for 13.7 and falling out of the top 3, Evelynn is looking extremely powerful. With Evelynn, it's all about reaching level 6 as quick as possible and limiting what the enemy jungler can accomplish before then. To help with this plan, banning a strong meta ganking jungler like Jarvan is really a no-brainer. Cycling your camps efficiently is super vital to playing an optimal Evelynn, and our challenger jungler Skillshot is one of the best EVE players on the EU West server. So if you're trying to learn the pick, his full game commentaries on our website are an amazing resource. The standard build for Evelynn is a Rocket Belt Rush into Rabadon second and Void Staff third. Electrocute is the keystone rune Rune with Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, and Relentless Hunter, Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm are for secondaries. A jungler who has become much stronger due to indirect buffs last patch is Echo. If you guys have not tried rushing Nashor's Tooth on your Echo jungle, then definitely look to do so. If you take First Strike for the Keystone Rune with Magical Footwear and Futures Market, you're able to hit the Nashor spike super early in the game. Nashor's is far superior than Rocket Belt when it comes to farming camps quickly, so by rushing Nashor's, you're actually able to hit a 2-item spike way faster. Hitting 2 items is when Echo really comes online, so this Nashor's rush strategy is super nice. The added 15 haste Riot gave to Nashor's makes it even more worthwhile to rush now as well. Once you hit 2 items on Echo, playing in Fog of War pockets and looking for picks with W is generally how you want to be playing him. Being at objectives early is so important with Echo because if you can be sitting in a bush with vision on the enemy walking into a choke point, you can easily line up your W and pick the enemy off before the objective even spawns. Ban-wise for Echo, Kha'Zix and Kindred are both quite annoying due to them having ways to negate you from easily proccing passive. An absolute menace of a mid lane pick for solo queue and someone who should be played way more often is Uxin. The laning power and ability to impact the map early on is way too impactful for solo queue. Stealth from W combined with the long range gap close on E makes pulling off roam plays incredibly easy. Solo kills are great and all, but it's the constant shove power and ability to influence the map that is often a more consistent win condition you can play for each game. Yasuo is the only mid lane champion in the 10 most played that Uxin has a negative win rate against right now. That being said, Yaz is actually a pretty good ban option as his wind wall can negate a lot of Uxin's potential. There are so many different viable builds for the champion, but a Kraken into Wit's End and Blade of the Rune King is one you really can't go wrong with. For the Rune Page, grab Press the Attack with Presence of Mind, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Eyeball Collection and Treasure Hunter are for secondaries. Now that Veigar has been nerfed again for 13.7, one of the few Rod of Ages users that remains in a powerful spot is Cassiopeia. With Katarina buffed and inevitably being played more in 13.7, it's actually quite nice for Cass as she's winning 55% of the time against Cat. Long range catch is what Cassio struggles against the most, so banning out someone like Lux is good value. With Cass, you have a couple different win conditions to play for, as hitting your Rod and Archangel's spike is one, but then playing around choke points once you complete those items is another. Cass W is such a broken spell when used in tight corridors, so getting vision around objectives and zoning the enemy from walking into choke points is key to your success on Cassio. Build for Cass is Rod of Ages Rush into Archangel 2nd and Rylai's or Gargoyle Stoneplate 3rd. Rune Page consists of Conqueror with Presence of Mind, Tenacity, and Last Stand. Run Mana Flow and Transcendence for secondaries. Rounding out the top 3 for mid lane, who's been the longest standing solo carry mid, is Annie. Now you might be wondering, well, isn't Annie being nerfed this patch? How does she stay in the top 3 in that case? Well, it's actually Annie's E that is being nerfed, and at the later ranks only. Since mid lane Annie maxes Q first into W second, she does not get affected by the change at all for the first 13 levels. Oftentimes, games are over before this nerf will even come into effect, so mid lane Annie will remain a very powerful mid for 13.7. It's support Annie that will be the most negatively impacted here, since she maxes E first. Champs that can pick off Annie from long range are who she struggles against the most, so using your ban on Fizz is a good idea. Annie's combo is quite straightforward and easy to predict, so using Fog of War pockets is vital to catching the enemy off guard. You should almost always be playing Annie like an assassin in the mid game, setting up in bushes and one-shotting squishies as they walk into you. Build for Annie is a Luden's or Rod of Ages Rush into Shadow Flame 2nd and Rabadon's 3rd. When going Luden's, take Electrocute for the Keystone Rune, and if opting for the Rod of Ages Rush, First Strike works best instead. There's currently one ADC that is on another level compared to the competition, and that champion is Jinx. Not only does Jinx have the highest win rate for any ADC, but her play rate is also miles higher than the second most played ADC, which are leading indicators to how powerful she really is. The gap is going to become even larger in 13.7 now that Zeri is nerfed as well. Being able to play off your support CC is key to securing early kills on Jinx. Posturing in lane so that you can follow up on a Thresh or Nautilus hook is really important, as chaining with Jinx E can lead to easy kills. If you're playing with an Enchanter support and are more so looking to scale, then farming as efficiently as possible and hitting 2 items will set you up really well to carry in the mid game. Due to lacking a gap closer, Jinx struggles against heavy hard engage comps, so with Jarvan being a highly contested jungler, he's always a good ban. Build for Jinx is a Kraken Rush into Infinity Edge 2nd and Fire Cannon 3rd. Lethal Tempo is the optimal Keystone Rune with Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Cut Down. Grab Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm for secondaries. Joining the ADC top 3 for the first time in a while is going to be Ashe. Ashe was just recently buffed last patch, and with the likes of Zeri, along with many Quick Blades and Bloodthirster users hit with nerfs, Ashe has found herself in a really nice spot. The best part about Ashe is that you're always useful no matter how bad your support is. Hitting consistent arrows throughout the game is often all you have to do to be more impactful than the enemy ADC. The new meta in Season 13 of running Ghost on ADCs is also really nice for someone like Ashe who lacks a gap closer. Taking Flash with Ghost allows you to stay really mobile in fights, and combined with her passive, you can kite super well. Abusing Ashe's long auto attack range and poke from W is very important in lane. Ashe is one of the better laning ADCs, so punishing shorter ranged ADCs when they go for last hits will help you get control of lane. Just like we mentioned for Jinx, instead of banning out another ADC, look to prioritize your ban on an annoying dive champ like Jarvan. Build for Ashe is a Kraken or Shield Bro Rush into Phantom Dancer second and Infinity Edge third. For runes, run a lethal tempo with Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Coup de Grace. Biscuits and Approach Velocity are optimal secondaries. An ADC that doesn't get nearly as much attention as he should, and rounding out the top 3, is Twitch. Twitch is a solo queue beast, as he's way less reliant on his team to make plays after the laning phase. You have the ability to play like a traditional marksman or flip the switch and be more like an assassin. Maximizing this catch power with the stealth from Twitch Q is how you're going to win a ton of games, especially in the lower ranks. If you end up winning lane and taking down the bot lane tower, roaming top or mid and stealthing in for ganks will catch the enemy off guard more often than not. When you get the shove in lane, Twitch doesn't have the best ability to poke the enemy under tower, so looking for roam plays mid can easily get your team ahead without even having to kill the enemy bot lane. Twitch loves being able to pop out of stealth and one-shot enemy squishies, but with Xayah, her ultimate negates a lot of that power, so she's a good ban to consider. Build for Twitch is Blade of the Ruined King Rush into Kraken Slayer second and Hurricane third. Rune page consists of lethal tempo with Presence of Mind, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Pick up free boots and biscuits for secondaries. Heading straight into the top 3 shortly after his release is the newest support, Milio. For a new release, Milio is performing insanely well in solo queue, considering players aren't even playing him optimally yet. For example, an E max is winning about 4% more than Q max, but only 30% of Milio players are maxing E out first. Look to try E max into W second and Q last. Although Milio can block engage abilities with his Q by timing it correctly, point-and-click CC is what he's most vulnerable against. For that reason, banning out Nautilus or Annie is good value. Milio has incredibly strong teamfight presence due to his ability to make one of his carries near invincible. Being aware of who your strongest member is and then buffing them up in fights is how you're going to find great success on Milio. The build to run is a Shurelya's Rush into Ardent Censer second and Staff of Flowing Water third. Run Airy for the Keystone Rune with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch. Bone Plating and Revitalize are the best secondaries. Rakan avoids nerfs for yet another patch and takes home a top 3 position for support once again. This is just a great meta for Rakan, with Jinx, Kai'Sa, and Xayah being the most played ADCs. Rakan being a champion with immense dive power is most optimal with an ADC who has long range follow-up, and most of the ADCs in meta can do just that. Shurelya's active into a flash RW combo is extremely hard for the enemy to counter and is your bread and butter way to find picks on high priority champions. Champions that have tools to negate your engage power are who you should be prioritizing your ban on. Milio being played at a very high rate is who we would recommend right now. The build for Rakan is a Shurelya's Rush into Redemption second and Wardstone third. Grab Guardian for the Keystone Rune with Font of Life, Bone Plating, and Unflinching. Zombie Ward and Ultimate Hunter are for secondaries. Now that Annie has been nerfed for 13.7, when it comes down to a pure damage-oriented carry from the support role, Senna is hard to beat. With Senna, it's all about collecting as many souls as possible throughout lane and coming online super hard in mid-game fights. This makes it even more important for Senna to be keeping track of her minions' health bars and looking to poke the enemy ADC when they go for last hits. Senna is most immune to champions with long-range catch power, so banning out Blitzcrank is never a bad idea. The more supportive build is Umbral Glaive Rush, while the more offensive build skips Umbral Glaive and prioritizes Infinity Edge later on. For the rune page, it's Fleet Footwork with Presence of Mind, Alacrity, and Cutdown. Optimal secondaries are Biscuits and Approach Velocity. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about Skill Capped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week, with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent Challenger players into ELO Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you are serious about improving. So there you have it guys, the best solo carries for every single role heading into patch 13.7. Thank you so much for watching, good luck on the Rift, and we'll see you in the next one.